Hello, and welcome to the Relationship Anxiety Podcast. I'm your host, Ksenia, and today we are talking about different types of compulsions or urges within relationship anxiety and relationship OCD. Welcome. If you're new here, I'm so happy that you're joining us. And for everyone listening, I am offering free consult calls. I'm going to include the link in the description, but if you have been listening to this podcast and it resonates with you, I would love to chat with you. It's totally free. It's for 45 minutes long, and we do cameras off. So you can show up looking however you want, and I won't see you. But we will just chat for 45 minutes and talk about the things that you've been struggling with and if coaching is a good fit for you. And I would absolutely love to meet you. I would love to chat. So please click on the link in the description to set up your free call. Now, today, like I said, we're going to talk about different types of urges or compulsions in relationship anxiety and relationship OCD. So first, I want to just quickly define what a compulsion is. A compulsion is anything that you are trying to do to get rid of the anxiety you feel when you're triggered. And so these compulsions can be really sneaky in the way that they show up. And the more that we engage with compulsions, the more that we teach our brain that the only way to feel better is to do compulsions and that we need to keep doing them over and over. So for example, let's say that you get triggered by either an external or an internal source. So maybe you see some couples that look really happy on social media. That would be an external trigger. Or maybe you have the thought, what if I don't love my partner enough? That would be an internal trigger. Then you're going to feel anxious. And what follows is the compulsions that you do to try to get rid of that anxiety. And the more you do this cycle, well, here's the thing. When you engage in compulsions, like I said, half the time you're going to feel better. You're going to feel better after you check your feelings, or you're going to feel better after you look at pictures of you and your partner together, or if you ask for reassurance. Those are just a couple types of compulsions. We'll get into it so much more. But half the time you're going to feel better after doing compulsions, and that teaches your brain that doing compulsions helps get rid of anxiety. We're just literally conditioning our brain to do compulsions. But half the time when you do compulsions, you don't feel better. Half the time you feel worse. Half the time you feel more anxious. And when you feel more anxious, your brain goes, oh my gosh, that means I need to do even more compulsions so that I can feel better. And we do this big, long cycle, and it just gets worse and worse and worse the more we do it. And so what I want to do today is teach you what some common compulsions are that are relationship themed so that you can notice them. And then I want to teach you a couple strategies that you can do when you notice that they're compulsions to break out of the cycle. So here are a couple, several different compulsions that you might notice yourself doing. The first one is testing your feelings. So we're going to be going inward, looking at our feelings to see if we feel the right way. So maybe, for example, you go out to dinner and you're checking to see if you feel romantic or in love or attracted to your partner. Or another example is you are kissing your boyfriend and you check your feelings to see if you feel into it. Or maybe you're at church and you imagine being with someone else sitting next to you. You check your feelings, test your feelings to see if you feel more desire to be with them or if you'd rather be with your boyfriend. The next compulsion is trying to prove our thoughts wrong, our intrusive thoughts. So for example, we might have this sticky, intrusive thought of, this isn't right. Then we might start to argue with it. Of course it is. Then we go back and forth. Well, why else would you have doubts? You know that this is right. Remember how unconditionally he loves you? We just go back and forth and back and forth. and try to argue with our intrusive thoughts. The next compulsion you might notice is trying to fix. So you might identify a problem in your relationship and then quickly try to fix it or solve it. So, for example, maybe you are worried that your boyfriend isn't attractive enough. So you ask him to wear different clothes. You try to fix it. Or maybe you think your boyfriend is annoying. So you tell him to stop making specific jokes. We're just trying to fix a problem so that we don't feel anxious anymore. Another very common compulsion is measuring. So we're trying to measure enoughness. So we might worry whether or not our partner is spiritual enough. We try to measure their spirituality by the things that they do. Or maybe you try to measure his attractiveness and whether or not it is enough. Okay, this one is super common, and this was a big one for me. But this compulsion is confessing. It's admitting any of your intrusive thoughts to other people. So, for example, telling your partner, I don't know if I like you, or I'm feeling doubtful, or I'm wondering if you're attractive enough, or I think I might not actually think that you are attractive. And it's confessing these thoughts to our partner or to someone else. And the difference here is that honesty is really good and transparency, but when we're confessing because of a compulsion, it feels different. It just feels like we're looking for reassurance, or like we just have to tell them so that they know, instead of trying to build and create out of honest communication. Another one is called decision outsourcing. And this is looking to outside knowledge to determine what to do in your relationship. So it could look like asking your friends, asking your family members, or Googling to try to get a decision from someone else to see what you should do. Another big compulsion that we do is comparison. So looking to see how our partners compare to other people and other relationships. So for example, maybe you go on a double date with your best friend and her boyfriend, and you talk to him about his business goals and you compare them to your boyfriend and his job. And you decide that your boyfriend isn't as financially stable as your best friend's partner, and so therefore you need to break up. It's just really comparing any quality within your partner with other people, or with like their relationship as a whole with other people's relationships. And again, all of these compulsions, they can be good things, but not when they're done compulsively, right? It's okay to compare to other people, but not when the energy behind it is frantic and urgent and compulsive, like you have to do it. The next compulsion is replaying or ruminating, right? Mentally reliving a past moment to evaluate it for further meaning and answers. So we're just going over this one conversation over and over and over and just overthinking it to death, right? It must mean that we aren't compatible and he won't be a good dad. Or even on the flip side, remember when he told me he'll never leave me? It must mean he really loves me and we'll never get divorced, right? We're just like overthinking over and over and over. The next one is future projecting. So this is imagining future scenarios to determine what you should do. So maybe you imagine breaking up with your partner and see if you feel sad. If you feel sad, that means you should stay. But if you feel excited, that means you should break up. And again, half the time you're going to feel relief, like you should stay, and half the time you're going to feel sad, like you should break up, and more anxious. And this just perpetuates the cycle. Okay, our last one is false comfort. And again, comfort is good. It's good for us to comfort ourselves, but sometimes we do it compulsively. Sometimes, for example, we'll listen to a podcast that tells you your relationship is normal, or you tell yourself over and over again, everything's okay, everything's okay, everything is fine, right? And we're not really trying to address our emotions. We're just trying to get rid of them. So, all of these compulsions, you might notice them. I think I had nearly every single one showing up in my relationship. And that's not a problem. It just shows us that we need healing. And the more that you engage in compulsions, the more that your brain learns that it needs to do compulsions to feel better. And so what we want to do is start to unattach, unattach. We want to start to step back and not attach ourselves to this cycle. And there are a couple ways we can do that. At first, it might feel really overwhelming. I know I kind of just fire hosed you with all of these are compulsions, and you might be thinking, oh my gosh, everything I do is a compulsion. And I want you to know that it's okay. Everything is okay, and we're going to figure this out and work through it little by little. So, for example, one thing that you can do is just pick one compulsion and practice not doing it. Maybe you just really focus on reassurance seeking, and you really practice not looking for reassurance from your partner. Or maybe you really focus on not confessing your doubts to your partner. You just pick one and you do that. Another thing you can do is try to wait just a little bit of time before you do the compulsion. Maybe it's 10 seconds. Maybe it's a minute. Maybe it's 5 minutes. Maybe it's an hour. Maybe it's a day, right? And you can even increase the amount of time as you are practicing. But let's take confessing doubts to your partner as an example. Maybe you're in the car and you feel the urge to confess that you aren't sure about the relationship to your partner. And you say, okay, it's fine. I'm going to wait 10 seconds and then I'll ask. Even that 10 seconds teaches your brain that this isn't an emergency and that there is less danger than it thinks. Maybe you wait 5 minutes and then you let yourself ask your partner for reassurance. Or you wait 5 minutes and then you confess your doubts to your partner. And then maybe the next day you wait 10 minutes. And then maybe the next day you wait 15. All of this is teaching your brain that it doesn't have to do compulsions right away, that it's safe and that everything is okay. That was one of the most helpful things for me. And sometimes I still catch myself and I still do this. Maybe the very most helpful thing that I did though was I set aside time at the end of the day. And you can set aside time at the end or the beginning of the day to do all of your compulsions. So I set aside time from 9 to 9:30 or 9 to 9:20. I said, okay, I am allowed to do all the research I want for this 30 minutes. And throughout the day, I would write down questions that I had. I would write down worries and doubts and things that I wanted to research or things that I wanted to confess or things that I wanted to pray about. And I set aside that time at night to do all of those compulsions. And it was so crazy. Because by the time night came and I had this time, I didn't feel as frantic. And I was actually able to think about my worries and doubts with a little bit more of a level head. And it was really cool because it taught my brain throughout the day that this wasn't an emergency, that I didn't have to do this compulsion right away in order to stay safe. And it was honestly so life-changing. Now, you are going to notice as you don't do your compulsions that feeling of anxiety after you get triggered. And anxiety is not a very comfortable emotion sometimes. And so I just want you to know that that's okay. What we want to do is practice noticing what anxiety feels like in our bodies. Instead of doing a compulsion, we're going to drop into your body. Say, okay, this is what it's like to experience anxiety. This is what it's like for me. This is what the sensation of anxiety feels like in my body. It feels like my stomach is clenching up. It feels like I want to run away. It feels like I have goosebumps all over my body. Maybe it is like a green color, or maybe it is like little spikes in my stomach or in my chest. And we just want to start to recognize what the sensation of anxiety feels like. Doing this is, number one, going to help you recognize anxiety when it pops up. But number two, it's going to teach your brain that you're capable of feeling anxiety, that you don't have to run away from it by doing compulsions. Now, we can get compulsive about doing all of these things. We can get compulsive about trying to fix our OCD in our brains. And that is also not what we want to do. All of this is just helping you understand your brain and your body better. It's helping you have power over it instead of it having power over you. And you're not going to be perfect at it. And that is okay. We want to bring so much curiosity and so much compassion to this work that we do. And recognizing truly that you're not going to be perfect at it, and that is awesome. The more we try to be perfect at it, the more, again, that we are being compulsive. And so as you're doing this, I just want you to give yourself so much grace as you're learning how to recognize these compulsions and then practicing not doing them. Give yourself so much grace as you are learning how to do it. And if you want help, I would absolutely love to help you. Like I said, in the description to this podcast, there's a link to a free 45-minute consult call. And I would love to help you overcome these compulsions. But just know that you are doing a beautiful job. And all of this is just meant to give you some more knowledge and understanding of what's going on in your brain and in your body. You are not broken. There are just parts of you that need to be loved and they need to be seen and healed. And so this is just one step in doing that. Okay, I love you. I'll talk to you next time.